Alright, I think I am live. Hi everybody, if you can hear me, can you just go ahead and type in the chat? I hope my audio is better than the last video. We just redid this room. Eddie completely redid the floors. He pulled out all the carpet and put hardwood floors, and there's not much stuff in here. And so I noticed during our rabbit hole video that it had like a horrible echo. So I'm not using my microphone and I'm using my webcam. So I'm hoping that that helps a little bit. I'm just burning some of Shumann's Moxie. She has it available in her shop just to kind of clear the space. And I'm gonna give it a second for people to hop in here and then we'll jump right in. I just uploaded over on Patreon the calendar for the month, so those of you on Patreon can go over and download that calendar in PDF form, print it out, write all over it. That's ideal. And for those of you on YouTube, this is a Patreon video that I do at the beginning of every month for my patrons, where we dive heavily into the astrology, including all starseed activation dates. And then I release it halfway through the month over on YouTube for everybody else. So this is something that you have been enjoying. I recommend checking out my Patreon. It'll be linked below. And yeah, so you would gain access to this video for as little as $5 a month. And I have several other tiers where we dive deeper into full moons and new moons and all things strange. So definitely make sure to check that out. It'll be linked below. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me, and I'm going to go ahead and start diving into the slides. I think we're good. I can see my little mic thing getting pretty loud, actually. Is it super loud, guys? Maybe that's better if I turn it down. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, maybe that's better. It looked like it was going up to the red. So I think that's probably better. Okay, well, happy June. It's definitely going to be an interesting month. It is eclipse season, it is retrograde season, we have the sun aligning with the galactic center, we have a lot of really profound things, so we'll go ahead and jump into the slides here. Where are my slides? Hi Claire, you can hear me. It's not too loud. I turned it down a little bit. I'm going to move my face for a second. All right, guys, so this is our thumbnail. You know, I always like to encode as much in here as I can. We have a picture of the galactic center up above, which our sun will be aligning with this month. Through opposition. So the Earth will be between the sun and the galactic center. So in order to really integrate these downloads, we're really going to have to get into the body. We're really going to have to get into the self, which is representative of the Earth, this 3D physical realm, this lovely meat suit that we get to wear here as our human spaceship while we travel the stars. Yes, perfect. Soft to loud ratio. Perfect. Thank you, Claire. And I need my hands, guys. So twice a year, our sun aligns with the galactic center, once in Sagittarius season and once in Gemini season. While in Sagittarius season, it's on the same side of the Earth as the galactic center. And during Gemini season, entering into Cancer season, it's on the opposite side. So we'll have the galactic center here, Earth here, and the sun here, our consciousness. And in order to funnel in those beautiful downloads you see shooting out of that black hole right there, we're really gonna have to get into the body, which is gonna be kind of hard for us during Gemini season when we're very, very in the mind. So it's going to take some work on our part. in order to not fall into the gate of man, which we're going to talk about as we go along here. Down below that is a stone circle from Scotland that is just showing the alignment of the summer solstice, which we will talk about as we get into this video. And then, of course, there's a picture of a solar eclipse. And those are our big 3 events that we have going on this month, which is huge. We have the solstice, we have a solar eclipse, an annular solar eclipse, so a ring of fire solar eclipse where the moon and the sun aren't perfectly aligned. The moon is actually farther away, so it's smaller. And so it doesn't cover the whole sun, so you get this bright ring. I was actually born right after an annular eclipse, which is known as a ring of fire. And then we have the sun aligning with the galactic center, so it's a huge month. And just on the side there, I wrote, solar eclipse. This is the key points that I want you to remember as we go through the month, so it might be a good thing to jot down if you're taking notes. We have our solar eclipse, we have the summer solstice, the galactic center alignment. We also have Orion, the gate of man, being opened, while simultaneously we have the opportunity to enter the gate of the gods, which is the galactic center. And we'll talk about this as we get in here. Jupiter and Neptune retrograde are both going to be starting in the sign of Pisces, the sign that they both rule, Jupiter being the traditional rulership and Neptune being the modern rulership. We also have Mercury stationing direct right after the solstice. Our second of a 3-part Uranus square Saturn that is really the underlying energy of all of 2021. We've talked about this multiple times. We're going to dive into it again tonight. And then we have a lot more that we're going to cover. So Claire says it's slightly booming / distorted, so maybe a notch too loud. Okay, I'm going to turn it down a little bit more. It's because there's like nothing in this room right now, and so I'm like echoing, and I noticed that it was really bad during our rabbit hole. Oops, stay there, please. No, go there. Okay, hello, hello, hello. Is that better? I can turn it like, hello, hello, hello. Okay, is that better, Claire? I turned it like down a lot more, so maybe that's better. Okay, so if you notice up at the top there, it says strength, stars, and illusions. And I made this, full disclosure, I made this thumbnail before I dove super heavily into the astrology, which I did later today. I made this earlier. And so I was trying to sum up the month for a little slogan, because you guys know I like to have a little line to encapsulate the month so I can remember myself. And so I pulled some tarot cards, and the cards that I pulled were Strength, the Star, and the Seven of Cups. And then when I dove into the astrology, I was like, damn, those are super aligned. The strength card represents that strength that we're going to need to get through this month and be able to truly harness all that it holds. It also has the lion, which is representative of Leo, which is representative of the sun, which is a key player this month, being that it's solstice. It's the height of masculine light energy. But if you notice above her head, she has the affinity symbol. So in order to truly integrate the influx of pure masculine light and not a distorted, polarized version that is egoic in nature or domineering in nature, or just really going to manifest a lot more shadows. We really need to make sure that we're finding balance while we're being blasted with this solar energy. And so that infinity symbol above her head really reminds us of that balance that we're going to need throughout the month. Okay, the sound is soft because I turned it down. Oh. Claire, is this better? I'm up a little bit. Oh, Mercury. I knew he was going to throw some wrench into this. I don't know what I'm going to do with this room, guys. This echo is not working for me. But the strength card really represents that. And then we have the star card. So I read this a couple of different ways. I read that as just all the celestial energy coming in this month. If you notice, there's 7 white stars, and that's representative of the Pleiades. So we are leaving Pleiadian energy and entering Orion energy this month. And I talk a lot about the Pleiadian lesson and the Orion test. Okay, so when our sun transits the Pleiades, we're being given insight into balance between the mind and the heart, and we're activating that higher heart chakra where we can be led by the heart but not the emotions. And we found that balance between our feminine emotions and our masculine mind, and the Pleiades really helps us to find that and start to align with that. And that happens right before the sun enters Orion, which is that split. It is the divide. It is that polarized consciousness. So the star card is here to remind us of the work we did last month, the lessons we learned that are going to help us through this month if we were paying attention. And we talked about this a lot last month. And then we have the 7 of Cups, which is the illusions and the distractions that are here this month, the secrets and the deception and the different things that are here to try to bring us off track. We have a lot of Neptunian connections this month. Neptune is actually going to be square Mercury retrograde pretty much all month. So nothing is as it seems. We're going to be having an influx of information, but it's like we have 7 cups in front of us, all thrown at us at once, and only one of them is true. And everything else is spitting a really good game. And so we're going to really have to tap into that strength and the knowledge that we're bringing from last month in order to navigate this right from that higher heart space. I have a bunch of notes here. I actually feel super organized. I organized everything really great. I know exactly where I'm going. And I just wrote here for the beginning of the month, I wrote eclipse retrograde season. We have a Venus conjuncting Sirius this month, as well as Alexandria. So we're going to be shown a lot of truths that we might not want to see. And we could lean into that Neptunian, rose-colored glasses, fantasy land. And then once Neptune goes retrograde later this month, those illusions will be shattered and we'll just be in a state of existential dread. Or we can lean into these new truths and really question our beliefs, which is where this month is really asking us to go. The gate of man is open. Activations are upon us from both ends, the gate of man, Orion, the gate of the gods, the galactic center. And the question is, which way are you walking? So I just wanted to cover those cards before we get in because they came to me before anything else did. So really quick, for those of you here on YouTube, you can take a screenshot of this. I'll move my face for a second. Those of you on Patreon have this as a PDF over there for you to download. Really quick, I'm just going to cover the color code. The pink ones are our live streams here on Patreon. We have this one on the 3rd. Our eclipse live is on the 8th. We're going to meet for our We are going to meet for our cosmic circle live on Zoom, where we get to chat on the 18th, which is actually a super profound day. We'll get into that when we get into the chart. And I did not know that when I picked that date. I picked it earlier in the month when I was scheduling readings, which, by the way, I am offering a Starseed reading. So if you want me to dive into your star markings in a one-on-one session, you can book one of those below as well. But I scheduled it then, and then when I was making this, I was like, dang, that is a super profound day. So that cosmic circle is going to be extremely enlightening, I'm sure. Then we have our full moon live stream on the 22nd. And then for those of you over in Discord, we're going to get together and find a time to schedule a Cosmic Kids meeting for our little magical starseed kids on the last week of the month. but we're going to chat and find out the best time for everybody. So please take a moment to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Hit the thumbs up because it helps me. And comment below, send to a friend. Those of you on Patreon, if you're getting this at the beginning of the month, you are more than welcome to share any of these videos with any of your friends. I don't mind, just don't post it on social media. And what's the other thing? Subscribe, like, oh, hit the bell to be notified when new videos come out. And then again, if you're interested in joining my Patreon, it will be linked below. So let's dive into the chart. Okay, Janelle, I'm so glad that the sound is better. It's been a day. I was like super into, so I've decided that they're tricking us into using the computer all the time, into having all my downloads written in the notes section on my phone, all my insights written on Instagram, all my channelings here on YouTube. And so I'm really trying harder in like keeping everything together. And I started, of course, on the Sagittarius moon, which is my moon. I start everything on that. Really trying to like categorize everything that's coming to me. And so I've been like way more thorough with my notes, and I got lost. I was like hyper focusing and I didn't realize what time it was, and I was running so late. So let's dive in here. I'm gonna go over to the software and we'll start chatting about the month. Okay, Janelle says it's better. What am I doing? Okay, so we don't have too much because we're meeting on the 3rd. Sometimes we don't meet till like the 5th or something, but we don't have too much that's happened so far this month other than Venus entering Cancer. So you can see Venus down there at the bottom, or at 1 degree of Cancer. It entered yesterday, and it'll be there until the 26th when it enters Leo. So from about now till the 26th, we're really feeling this Cancerian energy, particularly around our relationships. And then on the 26th, it's going to shift. Now, both of these astrological signs are intense. Cancer is more intense emotionally, while Leo is more intense in like a passionate, dramatic fashion. So while Venus is here in Cancer, we're going to be feeling extremely moody. Cancer is ruled by the moon. So we're really going to be like flowing and shifting and changing and feeling, and it's going to be extremely emotional. People around you are going to be overly sensitive, so be mindful of that, both while it's in Cancer and when it moves into Leo. Just their reaction will be different. Leo will be more aggressive, while Cancer will be more emotional. We're going to be feeling highly protective of our loved ones, particularly our partners and our children, almost borderlining like smothering. So be mindful of that when it comes to your loved ones. We are still in Gemini season, and Gemini does like their space. So keep that in mind if you feel that manifesting. Our focus is very much, while in Cancer, going to be on the home, on safety, on security. But once it shifts into Leo, it's going to shift to more of a focus on attention and affection, our passions, what lights us up, where we can express our creativity. The focus is going to be on fun, particularly with children, excitement, and people are going to be extremely dramatic. Leo energy is the actor. It is the epitome of drama, and we can't ever get through a summer without it. So use it to express yourself and really tap into that inner child, both within the self and within your relationships, because this is Venus energy. While Venus is transiting these signs, It's going to be squaring Jupiter. It's going to be trining Jupiter, sextiling Neptune. And then later we'll try Neptune. And that really is giving us the opportunity to expand our creativity through imagination, through a trip into maybe the spiritual realm, because we have all this Piscean energy right now, to really bring back some magic and light up what it is that we're passionate about with that magic. It will also square Chiron and oppose Pluto retrograde as well later this month. So we will simultaneously be triggered to process core wounds and traumas in order to truly obtain that magic, and be forced to also transmute and integrate and look at the shadow that whatever it was manifested, and how we need to then integrate in order to break free and move forward. And then towards the end of the month, Venus will conjunct Alexandria, but we'll talk about that a little while later. So all of this is really feeding into, are you going to do the work in order to rewrite that timeline? Or is that timeline that we're going to meet at the end of the month when it comes up to Alexandria going to repeat because the work wasn't done? Is kind of how I feel this is manifesting. So on the 3rd, which is today, our sun, which is right here, will come into a trine with Saturn retrograde, the same time that Venus trines Jupiter. So Venus trine Jupiter is a extremely beneficial transit. Venus and Jupiter are two of astrology's benefics. They are astrology's benefics. And whenever they connect, even through squares, which are more of a harsher aspect, they always bring a benefit. They always are there to help us expand and tap into the what's the word I'm looking for? Not the magical things of life. Like magic is like my favorite word, but like the more sensual and emotional things in life, the harmony and the beauty that life brings. And Jupiter is really there to like funnel in the optimism that we need. And a lot of this is going to revolve around creativity and imagination. A lot will be done in the dream realm as well because of this Piscean energy. And it can also focus a lot around like secrets or like things that are repressed that need to come up. So Jupiter might expand some repressed Piscean delusions that need addressing. We're going to be working through a lot of these delusions and illusions this month. I'm just going to click over and make sure that my sound is still good. Okay. I'm like so paranoid with Mercury and I can't see the chat when I'm over on the software. Janelle says, I am planning a surprise graduation party for my cousin in California this Saturday, family gathering during this time. Yeah, Saturday is going to be, so I guess we can get there now. Saturday's intense. Okay. So, yeah, and we go into Andromeda as well. So just so you guys know, I meant to go through the whole color code, and of course I went off a tip and I got distracted. The pink ones are our live streams. The blue ones are full moons, our new moons. The green ones are starseed activation dates, like major starseed activation dates. The yellow ones are major planetary connections, transits, ingresses. And the blue ones at the bottom with the white lettering are the moon's transit throughout the entire month as it makes contact with all starseed activation points, so all fixed stars. This is something that we have been doing over here in the Cosmic Alliance, and I think it's working brilliantly for me in order to truly integrate this lunar energy that apparently everybody in the New Age realm is so worried about right now, being some sort of false light matrix. And honestly, it's the light's shadow, and that is why the light does not like it. And it reflects the light back at itself so it can see what it needs to work on. And so the false light matrix doesn't want you working with lunar energy. Stephen had done a post about this today too, and he quoted Gigi Young about how the feminine is meant to help us integrate our shadow, and the moon is there to help us integrate our shadow. And that is why, he didn't say this part, but that is why the glyph of Mercury, which is the symbol for alchemy, Mercury is the main symbol in alchemy, is the glyph of Venus, the feminine, with the moon on top. And he said that Gigi Young said that that is her integrating that feminine and becoming the alchemist. And that's brilliant. I'm actually going to dive much deeper into that energy today. But lunar energy is extremely important in order for us to ascend out of this matrix. And we have our farthest point, the fixed star realm, and then we have our closest point other than Earth here, our physical body. Our first psychic body is the lunar energy. And if we can connect those two, we can really ascend beyond the emotional ebbs and flows of the moon, and instead ground her into the vast cosmic realm. And so this is an experiment that we've been doing here, following along with the lunar transit, and it's really opened up a lot for me. I'm actually very glad that I did this. And I would like to also mention that I was watching a dark journalist video the other day, and he was talking about Rudolf Steiner's eighth sphere, which if you have not watched, are my last video here on YouTube that I did with Sharon and Claire on the Shumann resonance and frequencies and this eighth sphere concept. I highly recommend checking it out. But he was talking about the eighth sphere, and somebody in the chat had asked about another occultist. I need to find out his name, but it was actually somebody I had not heard of. And he said, isn't that guy the guy who messed up the eighth sphere? And the dark journalist replied and said, yes, he's the one who said the eighth sphere was the moon, was the controlling mechanism, rather than this like inorganic grid that's being built right here for us through transhumanism and all of that jazz. And he said, and it seems like that is something that has spread very far throughout the New Age realm, and it originated from this one occultist misinterpreting Steiner's understanding of this eighth sphere. And now it's something that the New Age realm spouts. So I found that super interesting. So all of that to say, the moon is very important, and we are following her throughout the month as she transits all these stars. And starting tomorrow, she will be transiting Andromeda from about the 4th to the 7th. Andromeda always triggers generational karma, generational trauma, particularly connected to our parents, connected to situations that were outside of our control. Maybe they happened when we were younger. And they also very much trigger the twin flame collective. So anything happening around this time is funneling in from that star system, and the moon is really asking you, the moon, which is there to help us work through our shadow, is asking you to look at it through this Andromeda lens. So Janelle, on the 4th, Mercury retrograde will be exactly square Neptune. So Mercury retrograde in Gemini, which is actually going to be a key player in the eclipse next week. Hold on, I need like a pillow here under me. Will be exactly square Neptune. Now this is an energy that we are going to be feeling all month as Mercury transits this little area of the sky where it's retrograding, but this will be the moment where it's exact. So Mercury retrograde alone already brings confusion, communication, wires crossed, things not making sense. It's happening in its home sign of Gemini, the sign of the mind and communication. Technology in particularly are going to be a little bit haywire, but it's also going to be squaring Neptune. Neptune is the planet of illusions and delusions, and just it sits beyond time and space. It's like dream. It's the energy of a dream where things kind of make sense if you can like decode them and decipher them and possibly get it right, but you're more than likely to probably misinterpret what is going on this weekend, so keep that in mind. I have some notes here on this. I wrote that this energy is going to bring confusion, illusions that are going to be triggered particularly by our fears, being that it is Neptune in Pisces. Also, the exposing of secrets could really happen around this time. That's going to be a key energy this month in general. Miscommunication, but it's miscommunication that forces us to go inward. I wrote here, trust no one. Trust no information that comes through at this time, not even the voice inside your head, because that voice is clouded. We need to tap into our higher self, and in order to do that, it's really stepping into that higher ascended heart chakra that the Pleiades helped us to find. I said so we can move through the heart and let the heart guide us. Let it guide our way this month. Neptune, this Venus energies this month are really going to help us align with that. But it's really like if you are try to navigate this month through your mental faculties, you will get lost and confused. It'll be like that scene from Alice in Wonderland where she comes up to the all those signs that are like pointed like this way, this way, and the Cheshire Cat is like talking to her and making no fucking sense, and she doesn't know which way to go and nothing makes sense. It's going to be like that if you try to stay in this Gemini mercurial mind that we want to be in, because our mind, Mercury, and our vital consciousness, the sun, are both in Gemini right now. So we're going to want to be there. It's where we're going to be pulled. So we're going to have to do this through conscious intent to try to pull ourselves out of that and into a more balanced, harmonious state where we can in tune with our heart. And that brings us back to that Pleiadian lesson and the Orion test, because after the moon leaves Andromeda on the 7th, it'll then transit the Pleiades on the 8th, right here. And then it'll enter Aldebaran and Orion, and it'll transit Orion, and it'll be aligned with Orion at the moment of the eclipse, which is on the 10th. Hold on. 3:52 a.m. 3:52 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it'll be falling right here at 19 degrees of Gemini conjunct Mercury retrograde, square Neptune. So this energy that we've been talking about, Mercury square Neptune, the illusions, the confusion, the things that don't make sense, it's these cups, right? We have this energy there too, but like this is very much in the way. We need to step into this. The lion very much also represents the heart. The Leo energy very much represents the heart. And so we really need to lean into this in order to navigate this and pick up the right cup in order to arrive to this. And it's going to very much revolve around going inward and trusting not that mental voice, but that inner knowing that guides you through your gut, whatever it is you want to call it. So not only does this eclipse on the 10th conjunct Mercury in Gemini's home sign. I mean, in Mercury's home sign of Gemini, but it also squares Atlantis. So we've been talking about how Atlantis has been square. It's actually, Atlantis will be exactly square the nodes at this point. We've been talking about how Atlantis has been a key player in this entire eclipse story. From the beginning to the end, Atlantis is connected to, well, maybe not the end. I don't know what the December eclipse look like in connection to Atlantis, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's involved there as well. We are being recalibrated as a collective, and this recalibration is necessary because of events from the past. And those of us who are extremely connected to this timeline are extremely being triggered right now when it comes to this eclipse story, and it is so fated, and many of us can feel this. So I just wrote here that this eclipse is going to be weird, okay? It's going to be extremely weird. Nothing is going to make sense. A lot of information is going to be flowing in to your consciousness, but it is going to be disguised by illusions. Gemini rules the mind, communication, schools, particularly like our younger children's elementary schools. It also rules the internet, all forms of communication, both trade and distribution of goods, education, the media, as well as a country's infrastructure and transportation system. We've already seen things come out this week about emails. We've already seen things happen when it comes to trade and distribution of goods, and so we can expect more hiccups to occur around this time. Narratives to come out around whatever it may be. We're also expected some UFO disclosure, eye roll, this month. So whatever comes through, just take it with a grain of salt. Realize that of all the information that came through, most of it is bullshit. There's a little part of there that's true, but it's going to take a lot of navigating in order to get. So just wait to make any sort of assumptions. You actually really should never make assumptions, but to kind of think you really have a handle of what's going on until Mercury stations direct after the solstice. Nothing's really going to make sense. Nothing's going to make sense. It's going to be so weird, guys. Yeah, and just roll with it. But this energy is prime for magic. It's prime for retreating inward, removing yourself from the mind, retreating into the spiritual realm, and trying to navigate from there while questioning everything, because we're going to have a recalibration in our mind. But in order to recalibrate the mind, once everything goes direct and after eclipse season, we have to question the mind. And the mind doesn't want to be questioned. And so the only way to do that is to go have new experiences that shock the mind. And the spiritual realm is very loud right now. The veil is thin. Everything is beyond time and space. And we're able to connect and align with energies that we weren't able to before, that are here to help guide us forward. So on the 11th, the day after that eclipse, Mars will enter Leo. I'm just going to come and check. Claire says to pick up the right cup. Janelle says, I am prepared to flow and not think so much. I'm glad you are. I'm not. No, I'm talking to myself with all this. This is like where I need to be. Perfect. Good job, guys. Okay, so I'm just gonna come and check every once in a while to make sure we're good, because I'm worried about Mercury. And I like to be positive when it comes to all these transits and talk about all the positive things that can happen, but we also have to be real, especially with all of this. Like, be mindful when you're using your technology. Back stuff up. If you're writing something important, like save and double save and save and save and save, because things things are going to be a little haywire. Things are going to be a little haywire. So Mars enters Leo on the 11th. I have a bunch of notes on this, which are actually going to lead us into the theme of this month, which is this polarization of the masculine element. Okay, so I wrote a bunch here. I just like channeled this, so I'm going to kind of just read it. So this energy is going to like light a fire under us. Okay, Mars, the fiery planet of Mars, of action, entering Leo, the fiery planet of Leo, is really going to have us lit. Okay, the energy is going to be high. We're going to be focused on excitement, creativity. Major initiations when it comes to like creative sparks are going to be occurring. Mars is one of the only planets that is really going to be direct this month. Later, as Jupiter and Neptune join, we don't have many planets still left direct, and so he's moving and he's taking action. We can really be the light to help uplift others throughout this time, that shining light to help give people the support to shine their own. The focus is going to be on like harnessing self-confidence and standing in your own like sovereignty. We're going to be feeling extremely passionate. Our vitality will be high, but so will our egos, and be mindful of the drama that is inevitable around this time. I said that we are going to be burning bright, a burning bright light that's casting shadows. We are going to, there's going to be so much light manifested throughout the solstice time that shadows are inevitably going to occur. I wrote here, remember, the light is most useful mostly in darkness, for it guides you and others to the truth. Too much light anywhere else casts shadows if there is anything blocking the flow of energy. And then I wrote, use the moon. And this is what I wrote just minutes before I saw Stephen's story about the moon matrix. Somebody had asked a question about it and his beautiful response. So Atlas, if you are following, you should be following Atlas Divination if you aren't already. And I wrote here, this is a quote from my notes section. Shadows are what stand in the way of the unification of polarities, the marriage of darkness and light. And right now we're at the solstice, so we're at this extreme of the light. Shadows are distortions in space-time caused by physical or intellectual matter. So if you think about it, here in this room, every single thing that is physical matter that is in this room is casting a shadow because of the light. In darkness, there's no shadows. The light casts shadows, and the light needs to deal with the shadows in order to integrate them and then merge with the darkness, merge with the void. And the shadows are what's standing in the way for the light wanting to merge with the void. I wrote here, shadows are distortions in space-time caused by physical or intellectual matter, which are traumas, programming, karmic debris, illusions, delusions, and inverted or mirrored manifestations of the light. So the moon does not shine its own light. The moon reflects the sun's light back at it so it can see itself and work through its own shit. Inverted, mirrored manifestations of the light. They're showing our consciousness itself and what it needs to work through in order to unite with the void and truth. These are created by blockages. Something is standing in the way. Something is casting a shadow within the energy field. And this height of light is there to help us pinpoint these shadows, pinpoint these things that are standing in the way in order for us to work through them. Mars entering Leo is very much this energy, and so is the solstice that we're going to talk about here in just a little bit. So, okay, we're good. I just want to make sure we're good. I have to keep checking on you guys. Okay, so Mars enters Leo on the 11th. On the 12th, we have some work to do. So next weekend, Venus will sextile Neptune the same time as it squares Chiron, right here. So, yeah, same time it squares Chiron. We also will have the moon leaving Orion, where we've been at this polarized state, the split, showing where we need to come to the middle, and it will enter Sirius. So Sirius, I talk about this all the time, is the star of initiation. Every time Sirius is transited by any planets, we're given the opportunity to like move up in our initiation into the mysteries that are our reality by the cosmos. We're given an opportunity to move through something so that we can level up to this next level of understanding. It's that onion that I talk about, where we peel back layers and we see more truth. So on the 12th, when Venus is sextiling Neptune and squaring Chiron, we're going to be given that opportunity to level up. But in order to do it, we are going to have to process some traumas, work through, find the medicine in the madness, and also work through the illusions that we have around them, the fears, the insecurities, the secrets, whatever it may be. These things are all being activated around that time, giving us this opportunity to level up. So if anything triggers you around the 12th, like dive into it, because it is what you need in order to ascend to this next level of initiation into like this cosmic mysteries that, you know, the stars guide us on. I don't make the rules. I just follow them. Just kidding. I don't follow them. Okay. So we already had the sun squaring Neptune since around the time of the eclipse, leading up to the eclipse, as the eclipse squares Neptune. But it becomes exact on the 13th. And so this like energy of fantasy, illusion, delusions, things not making sense, feeling like we're in this dreamland is going to really continue as we move on. Now, the moon will leave Sirius and enter Alexandria on the 13th, the same time that the sun squares Neptune exactly. So, the way I look at this is we are going to be presented with these spiritual, esoteric knowledge that sits beyond the veil, but we need to go over there in order to obtain it and bring it back. And it's going to kind of take some navigating of our own, like our own spiritual waters. Okay, the sun is square Neptune. We've been shown a lot of things around this time, and hopefully some illusions have been shattered a little bit, and some magic and spiritual doors have began to open. This will be around the time where you'd want to open that door and enter it, because we can retrieve that which is lost. A lot of Neptune retrograde later this month is going to revolve around that as well, shattering illusions in order to align with a more accurate spiritual truth. Which brings me to the 14th. Okay, so we're going to dive into this Uranus square Saturn. You guys have heard me talk about this multiple times. I have told you that is the underlying energy of the whole month, the whole year, while last year it was all those conjunctions throughout Capricorn that were really what were like steering the events. This year it is really this like Uranus-Saturn square, this pull between this like brand new future that is extremely technological in nature and this old status quo that also wasn't working, while those of us stuck in between are like, what do we do? I don't want to go there and I don't want to go there. And so we're like being pulled and shaked in order to like make our own path. Venus will also conjunct Sirius on this day. So Venus is really going to be funneling in through our heart, through our intuitive abilities, like in tuning through the heart and the feminine polarity because it's in Cancer. That initiation that we just leveled up. So this will be like the first time, if we did the work over the weekend, that we have this new level of understanding, which should help us when it comes to this Uranus-Saturn square. So this will occur 3 times this year. I'm going to come over here so I can see myself. We had our first one on February 12th. That was the first time these 2 planets squared off. Uranus, I can't point at it because I'm not on the software anymore, but Uranus over at 13 degrees of Taurus and Saturn over at 13 degrees of Aquarius. They squared back in February. Now they are again. Their square is exact. However, this time Saturn is retrograde. We will also have another square later this year in December, on December 23rd, if you guys want to write those dates down. This is a 45-year story. It's actually a 45.3-year story, which started back in February of 1998. So I was only a couple of months old, and that started with the Uranus-Saturn conjunction, which occurred right on top of the galactic center in 1998. So that kicked off this story that then takes 45 years in order to go fully around to another conjunction. It has a square. It had its first square from 1999 to 2000. We've seen a lot of things happen on the world stage. We'll get into some of those things here in a second. From 2008 to 2009 was the opposition, so you can look back to that time in your life to kind of get an understanding of how this might be manifesting for you personally. And then right now, from 2021 into 2022, we're in this ending square, which then will end in 2032. So if you remember, I talked about how this is really this push for globalization. It's a push for the New World Order, Great Reset that we see happening right here. I have a quote here from one of my astrology books that they chose to kind of encapsulate the energy of this transit. It's from a French playwright, and it goes, "Ideologies separate us. Dreams and anguish bring us together." And this is really where we're at. We're so separated with this Orion split, this gate of man, this polarization, this extreme duality. We're so split on so many different things right now. And the only thing that is going to bring us together is some painful, emotionally painful, anguishing events, or our shared dreams for the future. And this is really a time for us personally, those of you who are resonating with what I'm about over here, to set some intentions. We don't normally do this on squares, but seeing as though we only have a couple of years left of the story that ends in 2032, and this is the last big activation before the ending, this is the last square, now would be the time to do it. And I think that we need to set some intentions and some goals around what we want for these next couple of years, these next 10, 11 years of the story, and what it is that we have planned for ourselves, because I know for a fact I'm not joining the hive mind, and I don't know what the other options are right now. So this might be where we start to think about that and implement some things that we might need moving forward. Some historical connections to this transit. So past transits past 45-year cycles revolved very heavily around shifts in dynasties, in governmental structures, in ideologies, on a worldwide basis. So it was the shift from territorialism to capitalism, to imperialism, to fascism in World War II. And then we had the Americanization of the world from the end of World War II into the 80s. And now we're really seeing this globalization, this new world order, great reset, whatever it is you want to call it. They have a plan for us, and it's about time we make our own motherfucking plan. So real quick, I'm just going to cover some of the events in the past that are connected to this energy. We could see similar things happening around this time that have a lot to do with the things that were initiated during past cycles. So the American Civil War, we have the end of World War I, the Russian Revolution and the Cold War, the women's rights movement, Hitler, Nazis, fascism, all the technologies that were implemented during World War II we see coming back around right now for this reason, and also the reason that Uranus is in Taurus right now. And the last time Uranus was in Taurus was World War II. Uranus, the planet of technology, Taurus, the planet of the earthly material realm. It's technological materialism. It's focusing way too much on the advancement of technology and not enough on the advancement of the soul. Fun fact, right now we have Uranus in Taurus. The last time Uranus was in Taurus was World War II. We also have Neptune in Pisces. The last time Neptune was in Pisces was the Civil War. We also have Pluto in Capricorn, and the last time Pluto was in Capricorn was the American Revolution. So, yeah. So in addition to World War II and Hitler and the Nazis, which, by the way, we also dove very heavily into in that Shumann residence video, which I highly recommend checking out. I will link it below. It's also connected to the New Deal and progressive socialist ideas, the Great Depression, major shifts in the economy, all different kinds of major shifts in the economy around money and finance, countless wars, uprisings, revolutions. We have the Holocaust, the Vietnam War, tension between races, the creation of the NSA, the CIA, and the UFO cover-up and file in the 50s and late 40s, around 50, 52 is when the NSA was created. The Civil Rights Movement, the fall of the Berlin Wall, the Y2K hysteria, and the dot-com internet boom, the start of the euro, several stock market crashes, the start of Bitcoin, oil spills, the start of the World Trade Organization, and then also the first kids television show was created, as well as the first color TV around these conjunctions. And so that's where a lot of like the mind control and programming comes into play, that's helping them to fulfill this plan. And then it's also connected to huge communication networks. And what is a bigger communication network than this hive that they are currently creating through this AI infrastructure that includes the you know what. Also, Edward Snowden exposed the CIA around these transits, connected to this transit. And then it's also connected to just large movements in general and the clash of ideologies. So that's kind of the underlying theme. Clara says, so much is converging, reality is stacking up. Yeah, we see all these cycles that have played out are all like piling on top of each other, and now we're really being asked to work through these things and move beyond them. And so this month is really going to be feeling this a lot, particularly on a collective level, because it's Uranus and Saturn, and they really work on us as a collective, but in your personal chart as well. So look and see, where does Aquarius fall for you? What house is that? Where does Taurus fall for you. This is where you're going to be feeling this pull, this shift between shaking things up and building structure and moving forward. Janelle says it's going to be a big bang for everyone to come together. Then everyone is just coming together. Yeah, it's going to take something. It's going to be interesting for sure. So on the 16th, the moon will, so we're on the 14th right now. I'm going to go over here. Okay, bye guys. I'll be back. I'm going back to the software. Okay, so on the 16th, the moon will transit both Draco and Atlantis. So if pay attention around that time, we're going to be asked to break karmic patterning and cycles that we've repeated over time, and a lot of it is going to have to do with our shadow because Draco is there as well. But if we work through that shadow, we really reclaim that like sovereignty of that ascended dragon where we can fly above and see truth. On the 17th, the moon will transit over Ursa Major, which is the bear, and really has a focus on the earthly realm. So if you have any sort of like animals, totems visit you, if you see a dragonfly fly by your window or some sort of animal crosses your path, look it up. The Ursa Major archetype, Starseed archetype, focuses a lot on the animal realm, the elemental realm, the crystals and plant allies and things like that. So find some time to ground while the moon is in Virgo. Find some time around this time, because remember I said this month we're really going to need to stay grounded in order to not go insane. And this is grounded mental energy. It's going to be trining these planets in Gemini that want to blast off into the mental realm. Virgo is an earth sign, while Gemini is an air sign. They're both ruled by Mercury. Gemini is an air sign, so it's very mental. Air is mental. Virgo is also ruled by Mercury, the planet of the mind, but it's an earth sign, so it's able to ground that more into reality. This time, while the 16th through the 17th is really going to be the time to try to harness a lot of that grounding that we're going to need as we enter the 18th, which is going to blast us off into freaking outer space, and the 20th, which is the solstice. So let's get to the 18th really quick. So the 18th is the same day as our cosmic Zoom meeting, which is going to be so galactic. The sun opposes the galactic center the same day that the moon conjuncts the supergalactic center, which is just so freaking magical, and I love it so much. So the sun will be here at 27 degrees of Gemini, and it will oppose the galactic center here at 27 degrees of Sagittarius, and the Earth is here in the middle. So in order to funnel in these downloads from here into our conscious vital life force here on Earth so we can grasp them and utilize them, we have to funnel them through the body, the Earth. We have to funnel it through that grounded energy. So if we did not utilize this moon transiting through Virgo to really ground into our body. Virgo rules the 6th house of the physical body. If we did not use that time in order to come into the self, we are going to be super scattered once the moon enters the air sign of Libra and starts aligning, and all these planets start aligning with these galactic points. We will blast off and will be no use to anybody. We won't be able to truly harness it. It'll be very chaotic. It'll be very... So I have the supergalactic center conjunct my sun. Black holes can both propel you forward and destroy you. If you are not in alignment, it will destroy you over and over and over again until you find that balance. If you're in alignment, it'll propel you forward, it will activate you, and it'll level you up. So if you get destroyed, if something around this time, it's going to be eclipse season, if shit blows up, just be like, okay, that was in the way. Those are some of those things that are in the way that are casting these shadows. Let them fall. Let them fall away. But do the best you can to work to find that grounded energy from the 16th through the 17th, so that when we enter the 18th, we're grounded, we're in our body, and we can funnel in these galactic downloads. I wrote here, work with the moon. Work with the moon during this time in order to seek balance within this moment of polarization. So when our sun comes into alignment with the galactic center, it happens during solstices. When our sun comes into alignment with the supergalactic center, it happens during equinoxes, okay? Equinoxes are the moments when our light and dark, day and night, are of equal balance. It's balanced, it's harmonious, whether it's the spring equinox or the autumn equinox, it's a moment of balance. When our sun comes into alignment with the galactic center, it's either the winter solstice, the moment of extreme night, the longest night, or it's the summer solstice, the longest day. It is a polarized energy, and it shows us where we're out of balance. It pulls the pendulum back so that it can find the balance again. So you can see from that perspective and then work to find the middle ground. I wrote here, the galactic center is activated by extreme polarities that are seeking balance. It holds codes for both unity and division, particularly when in Gemini for the division, because it is that gate of man. It is that split of duality. But it is our access point to the greater cosmic realm. If we have not made peace with this split of duality that is Orion and come into alignment and sovereignty within the self, which is the galactic center, we can't even connect to the supergalactic center, which is our greater cosmic family, or really anything else. That is where true sovereignty occurs. And I wrote here that I have a video that I'll post below on Ophiuchus, where I dove super heavily into all these black holes and how they lay out, including the supergalactic center as well. And these are our access points to these higher realms, higher dimensions, things that we can't even fathom. The supergalactic center, which the moon will be activating on this same day, the 18th, is the direct source for most of the gravitational pull within our immediate universe. So it has an even stronger gravitational pull than the galactic center or our own sun, or even Jupiter. Jupiter has almost the same gravitational pull as our sun. It's actually said that we kind of like orbit both of them. Jupiter pulls us a little bit too. What was I saying? Okay, so it emits these things. If you saw the picture on the thumbnail of that like stream of consciousness shooting from the center of the black hole, that is being shot at us whenever we align with it. It is really funneling into our consciousness. And this helps us to break through the subconscious mind and release blockages and traumas. We're releasing it into this black hole in order to be transmuted and sent back to us as pure cosmic power. This is really a time to truly alchemize. It'll also be a time where new souls will come online, pre-incarnation memories will awaken like dormant DNA or like past life remembrances, activate higher timelines. That is very important that we do around this time. And we'll also be like flooded with profound downloads of information, but again, it has to be funneled through the body, and we have to be grounded in order to not just like polarize, just completely polarize and not get the lesson that the Pleiades was trying to teach us, to come into alignment during this time. We are triggered during Gemini season. We are triggered during Orion season and the gate of man in order to remind us where we're out of balance so we can come into balance. So embrace the triggers. They're there to show you where you need some work. Okay, so that kind of brings me to the solstice. On the 19th, the moon will transit Draco, the Draco star that's in Libra, and it'll also transit Arcturus. So this is again going to be extremely mental energy, especially once it enters Arcturus. But it's like brilliant insighted downloads of like just like pure information. It just like comes to you like whole already. Arcturus is like that. But it also has a lot to do with like technology as well. So this might be a time where we're shown a lot of our shadow when it comes to that. I know I am definitely going to be taking some time off of Instagram because I can feel Armand and the 8th sphere is sucking my soul through my phone. And it's definitely a time to go inward this month and remove yourself from a lot of this shit. Remove yourself from this shit so that you can align with this shit and then find the shit. And that's the technical term. And I know that was just so like eloquently said, but pretty much that's the summary. On the 20th, on the 20th is our summer solstice. Sometimes it's the 20th, sometimes it's the 21st. For some people in different time zones, it might be the 21st. For me here in Los Angeles, so Pacific Standard Time, it's actually on the 20th at 8:32 p.m. So it is at night because the solstice does not have really anything to do with like the day. What it is okay, so the solstice is the moment where we have the longest day here in the northern hemisphere, here in the northern hemisphere. It is the longest day, so it is the day with the most light. However, the earth is the farthest, the sun is the farthest away from the earth at this point. So the reason why it's still summertime and hot for us is due to the tilt of the earth. So it's not that the sun is super close to us during summertime and that's why we're hot. We're tilted towards it. So while it is the longest day, I wrote here, go inward. It's the longest day, yet the sun is the farthest away. So we're still being asked to lean into that other polarity. Oh, you'll hear a lot of talk about the sun, the sun, the sun, the sun, the sun, the light, the sun, the light, the light, the light. And yes, 100%, this is a time to funnel in these light codes, funnel in these activations. But if you want to get the pure light of balanced source consciousness and not some polarized, domineering, egoic, masculine light that also exists, you have to seek that balance and harmony. The sun, while it's extremely strong and dominating our hours of the day, it's also far away. So we're being given the opportunity to maybe even tap into some of these other star consciousnesses, if we'd like, and even the feminine aspect of the moon, which at this time is going to be opposing the Andromeda vertex. So I'm just going to go ahead and read some of this because I channeled a bunch of notes for this. So the same day as the solstice, our sun is entering Cancer. So the sun will enter Cancer just later this day. This is 3:52 in the morning. I don't know what time it enters Cancer. I mean, I can tell you. Actually, I can't. It doesn't have the time on here. Whatever. At some point on the 20th, the sun will enter Cancer, and Jupiter will station retrograde in Pisces. And so I wrote here, the focus is going inward. The sun entering Cancer is also internalizing that lunar feminine energy that is expressed through Cancer. So while the sun, the masculine sun, is very active during this time, and you'll see tons of posts about it, the sun is in the feminine sign of Cancer. So we're also being asked to balance it with this. We saw the split. We know where the balance needs to occur. Jupiter retrograde in Pisces is also very much asking us to go inward and internalize this light rather than like worship an outside light. Find that light within and cultivate it. Okay, so it says go inward. It's the longest day, yet the sun is the farthest away. This is our period of extreme polarity, huge light influx, but a need for balance. More light equals more shadow. If there is anything standing in the way, it is going to come out to play. I always freaking rhyme when I write, dude. It's a trip. I'm such a, like, casting spells or witch or something. I don't know. It's so weird. So I said particularly on a collective level, because this is our collective solar holidays that are occurring during these eclipse season where we're recalibrated as a collective. Okay, I wrote here, I was just talking about the Earth's tilt. I already explained that. Okay, I wrote here, the solstice is just as connected to the Earth as it is to the sun. Okay, so the solstice, what the solstice is when the sun is at its farthest point from Earth. So without Earth, there would be no solstice. It's the farthest point from Earth. The Earth is just as connected to the solstice as the sun. The ancients understood this, and they made major megalithic structures to harness both the earthly below energies and the cosmic above energies. Make sure you honor her, Earth, your home, particularly tapping into that Cancer energy. The sun will be in Cancer, which governs the home. On this day, your body, so make sure you honor your home on this day, your body's connection to her, the Earth, that we are funneling these cosmic downloads through, and we need in order to truly harness the as above is so below and be that conduit within. Okay, I said make sure you honor your body's connection to the Earth just as much as you honor the connection between your consciousness and the sun. The sun in Pisces, the sun in Cancer is really connecting us to that feminine aspect of the moon as well. And the shadows that need integrating. Or the light that you're harnessing will just cast more if you're not working through what is already being shown. Okay, I'm going to check and make sure you guys are there. Okay, good, because I just said a whole bunch of stuff that I don't know if I could say again. Okay, so where are we at? What day are we on? What is this? The 20th. Okay, so on the 21st, yeah, I'm always rhyming, Janelle, and I don't even mean to do it. Like when I'll be like writing in notes or like for my posts, it just always comes out in rhymes. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'm going to write a poem today. And I'll sit there and I'll like try to rhyme it. But lots of times it just comes out like that. I don't really know. Okay. So on the 21st, Venus will trine Neptune. So that is beautiful energy. Oh my God, it's so beautiful energy. Venus trine Neptune is just creative inspiration. Really, honestly, like around the solstice, like do some art, bro. Like I'm going to be painting. I'm going to write that down right here. I will forget. Paint some shit. Exclamation point. Okay. That's beautiful energy, and it'll be really like a way to harness this like Neptunian dreamscape energy that is a little illusionary, a little symbolic, but very spiritual, and wanting to channel this information from the other realm into art, which is Venus. to really work through the emotions, which is Cancer, which our Sun and Venus are there now. We also have Mars in Leo, which also has a lot to do with emotions, just on a different scale. And it'll really help us to channel that into something beautiful and probably prophetic. Nothing is going to come through clear through our mental mind around this time. Mercury is retrograde right here. But we can reclaim such wonderful wisdom, especially as we approach this Alexandria conjunction that will be trining Neptune as well, if we tap into our creative senses and create something physically beautiful. It doesn't have to be a painting. It can be anything that you're called to. And with Mars in Leo, you're going to have sparks of passion and creativity. You're going to want to be making and creating. It'll be the only way to really work through a lot of this Gemini, Mercury retrograde wire crossing. And on that same day, the moon will transit over Serpens. So that is the serpent in the grasp of Ophiuchus. That is that creative potential. It's the shadow as well, but it is that magic, that feminine magic to fucking create. The serpent helps us to create. The cross, which if you want to know what I'm talking about with this serpent and cross symbolism, I recommend watching that Ophiuchus video. The cross helps us to build structure and follow order here in this reality, but the serpent helps us to create and manifest. On the 22nd, Mercury stations direct. So things will start to make a little bit more sense after that. After that, it's going to square Neptune in a little while. So not until Mercury enters Cancer is it really going to make a lot of sense, actually. But things will start, at least with this Mercury retrograde cycle has been about in the house that's ruled by Gemini, will start to make a little bit more sense after the 22nd. Really, it's not going to be until next month that things are really clear. So lean into that dreamy Piscean spiritual waves and, embrace it. Okay, let's see. On the 23rd, the Sun trines Jupiter retrograde, Venus opposes Pluto retrograde, and Saturn retrograde sextiles Chiron. We have a lot of things to process. So once Mercury stations direct, we have all these other activations through other retrogrades, Jupiter retrograde, Pluto retrograde, Saturn retrograde. Chiron is asking us to work through some wounds now that we can kind of understand something a little bit different, because Mercury has finished its retrograde cycle. We're going to be able to be like, okay, now I see this, and so I can work through this. Venus opposing Pluto retrograde is definitely going to have us transforming something, letting go of something, rebirthing something, exposing something along those lines. And then the Sun trining Jupiter retrograde is really asking us to go inward. It's asking us to go inward and recalibrate our beliefs. Jupiter retrograde is there to do an overhaul on our beliefs, and it's going to require us to go inward and question them within the self. Pluto retrograde is asking us to transform yet again this area of our life that's ruled by Capricorn. We've done so much work on. And the Saturn retrograde, those of you who are having your Saturn return right now here in Aquarius, this sextile to Chiron on the 23rd, sextiles, they require some work. You don't always have to take advantage of it, but if you don't, when squares and other things come along, they're more harsh. This is a time for you to dive in and work through some of these things that have been triggered throughout your retrograde cycle in order to put them behind you. This is the last retrograde before Saturn enters Pisces later. This is the last retrograde that Saturn will have here in Aquarius. So this is really showing you what you missed and what you need to focus on. So pay attention, particularly those of you who are having your Saturn return right now, but really everybody. Saturn is focused on this area of your life that's ruled by Aquarius right now. It's asking you to restructure things. And this is a time to focus on that. So on the 24th, we have the moon conjunct the galactic center, the same time that we have our Capricorn full moon. So this Capricorn full moon is our first moon after eclipse season. It's going to be our first full moon after eclipse season. It's actually going to be square the supergalactic center, only 6 degrees away from opposing the galactic center. Wait, what am I talking about? Okay, that's why I'm confused. What time is it at? We're going to put it exact. 11:39 a.m. Okay, there we go. Only 6 degrees away from the galactic center because it's here in Capricorn. And the galactic center is right here. So it's only 6 degrees away from the galactic center. It's sextiling Jupiter. And it's squaring the supergalactic center. This is bringing a huge illumination to the system, okay? It's going to have a lot to do with our beliefs, which is Jupiter, ruled by Jupiter, around authority, which is Capricorn. I wrote here the focus is going to be around beliefs, around authority. The illuminating sphere is going to have its light shined in these areas of our life, these areas of our reality. The ruling elite, the ruling class in general, corporate America, the banking system. It's the top of the pyramid that is going to be a focus here. And then for us, personally, it's going to be our purpose, our career, our own authority and sovereignty. Perhaps maybe something around your father or an authority figure. But really, it's our personal structure that we stand within the public. Look and see what house Capricorn rules for you. You're going to be having a huge culmination and illumination in this area of your life later this month. We're going to be asked to release beliefs that we deemed true and right because new information has come to light. Oh my God, I didn't even write that down. It just came out of my mouth. I have to write that down. Oh my God, because too light. Oh my God, it's so fucking crazy. I always rhyme. Okay, so that's the Capricorn moon. On the 25th, Neptune stations retrograde. So after we've worked through these beliefs that were triggered around this moon, now Neptune stations retrograde and illusions just start shattering. Illusions just start shattering. Whenever Neptune goes retrograde, we can finally fucking see clearly. So many things we thought were one way were shown like, whoa, that wasn't even remotely close. Illusions are shattered and we're able to go back on track. A lot of these illusions that are shattered are going to be triggered by our fears, secrets, hidden agendas, and it's going to have a huge focus on the spiritual realm. Both Jupiter and Neptune retrograde in Pisces. Pisces and these planets rule the spiritual realm, and they're going to be retrograde in there. So they're going to be showing us what we missed. And Neptune in particular is going to be shattering illusions left and right. So roll with it. They were standing in your way. They are those manifestations of matter that are casting shadows, and standing in the way of this energy flowing naturally. Okay, so we already talked about Venus entering Leo. It officially enters Leo on the 26th. We talked about how that's going to shift the energy from the emotional Cancerian realm to the more dramatic and passionate and creative a Leo realm, where we're really going to be focused on creating what it is that we love and are passionate about, and also it's going to have a lot of focus around children. On the 27th, Venus will conjunct Alexandria. And this, I wrote here, what came to me immediately was past life connections. Pay attention to whatever happens around the 27th, whether it's with your loved ones or somebody who randomly comes into your reality synchronistically, whatever it may be. These are past life connections coming to test us. Why are they testing us? Because the moon transits over Cygnus from the 27th to the 28th. Cygnus is that cosmic test. In mythology, Egyptian mythology, Cygnus is the bird that we meet as we travel the zodiac in the afterlife from Orion, the gate of man, to, they don't call it the Galactic Center, but it's that area of the sky over there that is the Milky Way. That is the gate of the gods. And as our soul travels, we're met with a test or a question or something that we have to pass. If we don't pass it, we repeat, we come back to the gate of man, we incarnate again, and we do life again. If we pass, we move on to the gate of the gods. So on the 27th, you are going to be tested in some way, shape, or form in some past life deja vu type manifestation that is heavily connected to this Alexandrian Egyptian timeline. So pay attention. On the 28th, Mars is going to conjunct the North Node. Sextile the North Node, my bad. Mars is going to sextile the North Node. So we just left eclipse season. We've initiated something new here in Gemini, well, the cosmos did for us through the solar eclipse, which is like a new moon on crack cocaine, that we have no say in because it just does it for us. And this is going to be our first chance to take action. Mars sextiling that point. So the sextile, it's like you can take action or you don't have to. I recommend doing it. This is going to be the first opportunity where we're able to take a step in the direction that that North Node was leading us into on the 28th. It's also part of the Cygnus test. So the moon will transit Cygnus from the 27th to the 28th. So pay attention on both those days with whatever comes into your reality or is triggered within you when it comes to your relationships on the 27th, and also whatever action you're given the opportunity to take on the 28th. Don't procrastinate. I'm talking to myself. Don't procrastinate. Do the damn thing. Whatever the damn thing is, just do it. Do the damn thing. Okay. Because after that, the 1st, the 2nd, and the 3rd of July, Mars that just sextiled the North Node during that Cygnus test, asking us to take action for our destiny. On the 1st, the 2nd, and 3rd of the next month, Mars is going to oppose, I wrote here conjunct, it's oppose, my bad. Oppose Saturn retrograde, which is going to ask us to do some fucking work. It's going to try and Chiron integrate some wounds and really do the actual internal work. And it's also going to square Uranus. So we're going to be flooded with these electric downloads of information about probably the said work we need to do and why we need to do it. So Uranus is really there to help push us forward, push our consciousness forward. So we're going to be triggered, especially the first 3 days of next month. So I definitely recommend taking the action on the 28th while you can, because then a lot of other work that isn't revolved around this new destiny is instead revolved around karmic debris, trauma, and wounds. Is going to come up. It's going to come up and it's going to get in the way. So make sure you've already initiated what you need to initiate around the 28th, okay? And then I'll just really quick cover what we have going on all month. So we have the sun aligned with Orion from the 2nd to the 21st. Mercury, however, aligns with Orion all month, and the majority of its retrograde happens over the Orion belt. So we're really being focused on this area of the sky, this split in consciousness that's seeking this balance and harmony. Jupiter aligns with Fomalhaut all month, which is one of those 4 archonic royal fixed stars, often associated with the archangels and that cross of control. And then I go very heavily into this in the Ophiuchus video, so I recommend you checking that out. But it is that like integrated consciousness that we also need to align with. We have more than one archon controlling force that governs this reality. People talk a lot about reptilian consciousness, and yes, that is definitely a thing, but we also have an archonic light force that is just as controlling and dominating it. It is really what is manifesting very much in this technology, because that is from the masculine mind, which is the light. And when these 4 fixed stars, Aldebaran, Fomalhaut, and Taurus, and Regulus, when these 4 stars are activated, it's when that polarized light is activated, and we're really being asked to integrate and find a balanced middle ground. It's also going to have a lot to do with authority figures as well, and who are you giving your power to? Are you giving it to an outside light source, or is this light radiating within? Jupiter is aligned with this all month, so it's really, especially once he goes retrograde, it's asking you to go inside and find that Fomalhaut, Aldebaran, Regulus, and Antares within you, and activate those so that you're not outsourcing your energy to, let's say, archangels or something along those lines. An outside force. It's you. It's inside. Saturn aligns with Cygnus all month as well. So we're having this karmic test through Saturn all month. And when the moon transits it from the 27th to the 28th, it's really focusing a lot on this Saturnian karmic lesson. It's a deep, deep, deep karmic lesson. Saturn is a great teacher. He's the Lord of Karma. He comes to have us deal with our shit so that we can learn some wisdom. He really holds a lot of wisdom. And then we have Uranus all month aligned with Andromeda. It's been there for quite some time, and a lot of downloads are igniting our mind from, particularly if you resonate with the Twin Flame Collective, which Andromeda does as well. So that is the month in a nutshell. I have a new deck of cards. I'm going to pull a card really quick and then I'll call it a night. So this deck just came today. I'm super excited. I love this artist so much. You guys gotta see these. So I don't know if you follow her online, but you definitely should. The Wonderful Hippie. And she draws all these fabulous like Starseed, Galactic creatures and stuff like that, and I love her work. I followed her for quite some time, and I definitely recommend that you do as well. And she just made this Cosmic Oracle cards. This is the little guidebook, and I got a deck. I pulled some cards when I first got it, and the cards that I got was too many cards came out right now. The cards I got first were, the first card I pulled was the Pleiades. Ow. The first card I pulled was the Pleiades, and I was just like, yes, that is what we're bringing in from last month, is the lessons that the Pleiades had to offer us. The next card I pulled was Lyra, and I was like, we're rewriting timelines for sure. And then I pulled one that was like Cosmic Love, like it was a lover's type card, and that is a huge theme this month as well, is all these Venus activations. All right, and look at how pretty the front is. So pretty. Okay, I guess we'll pull 3 cards. Okay, so we got Sirius, which of course we did. We have a lot of Sirius activations this month. Venus conjuncts Sirius on the 14th. And that is really funneling in the energy in through our heart space and giving us that chance to be initiated to the next level of mysteries. But like, nobody can initiate you. Like, I could sit here and talk about so much esoteric shit all I want, but unless you dive in and have that initiatory process for yourself, you're never going to be able to align with that cosmic consciousness. So definitely make sure from the 12th through like the 16th, you're really working on aligning with the Sirian energy, because it's going to be so loud. A beautiful card. I'm going to see what she says. She has a little guidebook here. I'm going to see what she says for Sirius. What number is it? 42. It says teachers, ancestors, the throat chakra, and connection to the Sirius star. So work to connect with it consciously, and also do some sort of like vocalization, like Claire had described in our Shumann resonance video, which will be linked below, so make sure you check it out. Sometimes I feel like a broken record. So I also pulled the card Symbology, and it has this little ET holding a little sacred geometry flower of life, and it also has a 3 and a 6 because it's the card number 36. So again, nothing is going to make sense this month. It will be like being in a dream that sits between dimensions and timelines and makes no sense. Everything is going to be coming through symbolism, and you can try to decode it mentally, but really just go with the flow and follow the synchronicities. I'm gonna see what she said in her little book. Oh my gosh, just wait till you see this next card, Janelle. Janelle says, I had an Akashic record session. I was told my star family is Pleiadian. Okay, so this says symbology. It says sacred geometry, which also I was talking about the Arcturus connection, a lot of things, which we have the moon aligned with Arcturus the day of the solstice. They speak so heavily through sacred geometry, so pay attention. If weird shit is coming into your reality, weird synchronicities, weird connections, like pay attention to them. They're the only thing that's going to make sense this month. Actual logical thoughts not going to make sense. It says sacred geometry, symbolic communication, and connection to the Arcturians. That's what it said. I was literally just talking about Arcturus. Oh my god, this deck is fucking rad. Okay, and then this one's for you, Janelle. Meeting, and look at the little star family Pleiadian consciousness. But I would just like to note that these people, this consciousness is inside of you. Again, with like the outside sources, you don't want to give your energy to outside sources, even ETs. If we worship them, then it's just like any other deity. So just remember, this is an aspect of you, and we all have this Pleiadian aspect of us. So the cosmic realm is going to be very loud this month. We have all these galactic activations with the supergalactic center. The galactic center, when the supergalactic center is activated, not only are all the stars in the Milky Way activated and all the stars in the Andromeda galaxy activated, but all the stars in like 50 something galaxies that all rotate around the supergalactic center activated. When we have this galactic center activation opposing our sun, it's funneling in all the star codes from all these places. So keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and read this, and then we'll call it a night. 16. Meeting yourself and your body. Meeting yourself and your needs. Lucid, astral, or physical encounters with spirit family. Awesome. It's going to be a profound month, you guys. I definitely recommend checking out these cards. Again, Name on Instagram is, I think it's The Wonderful Hippie. It might just be Wonderful Hippie. And she does all these fantastic drawings. I'm sure you guys have seen some of her stuff around Instagram before, but I definitely, look at this Lemuria card. I definitely recommend checking out her work. And this deck is phenomenal. I'm very glad I got it. Claire says, all of this is ringing so true. Today has already been full of this energy and I'm living for it. For sure, me too. Thank you so much for being here with me, guys. I know it's super late. It's almost 11 o'clock, but I really do always appreciate it when you guys come and join me here. I adore you all so much. I will see you on the 8th for our eclipse live stream, and thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for supporting my work over on Patreon. Those of you who support me over there make this possible. And I am eternally grateful. Eternally grateful. Eternally. Eternally. Thank you so much. Have a great night, guys. And yeah, let me know over in Discord how everything's treating you. Make sure you guys tag me because I'm really bad at checking stuff if I don't get tagged and things. You're welcome, Janelle, and thank you, Claire.